create notes for you, so that way,
Mhm.
if you ever want to come back to it or review, you can look back. So it's a bit more convenient for everyone, and also other people can learn if they want. Um, what was your username again?
Night Owl.
Gotcha. And then, oh yeah, also, whenever I work with people who I don't know, or whenever I VOD review people I don't know, forget to do this so often. But so like I guess like introduce like what your name is, and then let me get to like know who you are a little, so I have like a good understanding of like, because there's this one random quote where it's like the right advice at the wrong time is bad advice. So you need the right advice at the right time. So I want to like try to get to know you a little so then I can give you the right advice.
Mhm. Well, I guess I don't know. So I just say like what? Your real name?
Oh yeah, yeah. So
Or
like what's your name? Or like what should I address you as or
uh, uh well, you could just uh call me Mike.
Mike? Okay,
That's what
cool.
everyone calls. Yeah.
All right. Um
And I just play a lot of Overwatch.
okay, cool. Yeah, yeah. Have you played any FPS games before Overwatch or is it your first one?
I was a console gamer before
Ooh,
uh
gotcha. I started on
playing
console too.
Overwatch. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I it's funny because like before like I didn't really play FPS.
Mhm.
I'm more towards play like a basketball game, you know?
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, where are you
So like
from? I noticed you have an accent.
uh I'm from California actually.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. Is that like a Hispanic accent then?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm from California too, so I grew up. I have a lot of Hispanic friends too. I was in band, so I know all the curse words. But that's
Oh
it.
yeah. Jesus.
So, how long have you been playing on PC?
We're over like 2 years now.
Oh, okay. So you're well into it. Gotcha.
hmm
Um, and then
It was like before COVID. It was before COVID, yeah.
okay, gotcha. Um, and you have like hours on PC, so you're like familiar with the controls now, right?
hmm
That sounds good. Um, and then have you had coaching before, or do you watch like a lot of coaching, or?
I watched like a lot of Spilo, if you know who's that.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. He's really
He
good.
does a lot of yeah, he does a lot of VODs for tanks. So I watch him.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah.
I'm in his Discord, so I like whatever he like posts about like VOD reviews for his like each rank.
Hmm.
That's why I look sometimes.
Gotcha. Yeah. I really like his content too. He's very articulate. Um, do you think? How well do you know like the fundamentals of like? Or most of the time, do you know exactly what you think you should be doing in the team fight, or where do you think you struggle with the most?
For me, I think it's like during fights. Cause like before fights, like like the Busan map, right? Not
Hmm.
Busan, Numbani. Like say I'm Winston, right? On
Yeah.
defense. Like I'm always gonna set up high ground for fights, you know? Like that's like
Hmm.
kind of like a thing I know, but like during fights, maybe I struggle with like what to do, you know?
Hmm.
Like
Okay.
so yeah.
Gotcha. So I think, yeah, I think going from a top-down perspective, since you've never had like one-on-one coaching before, or like studied,
hmm
um, what is that word? Extensively on like
Yeah, yeah. That's
fundamental
what.
macro or anything.
hmm Yeah,
Um,
they just say like because I before I did one mod review
mhm,
and that was like they just told me like set up before pre-fights and
mhm.
like try to get squishies and that's like about it.
Okay, okay. Yeah. So what I like to do is I like breaking it down, and uh, it's almost like the give a man a fish and I'll eat for a day versus like teach a man how to fish and I'll eat for a lifetime. I like explaining like why we do these things or like why you're going after the squishies, because it's not always like go after the squishies. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
sometimes you'll like go in and die, and it's like okay, I went after the squishies, but like um. Oh, yeah, I started streaming. Okay, you're in the stream. So right off the bat, I think I'll give you like a couple of habits that are really good, and not necessarily that I have to like explain and go into detail on like what the meta comps and like how each comp's supposed to like do all this other stuff and everyone's job. But
Mm.
eventually, like if we do multiple VODs, it'll get to that point and you'll be like, oh, we're in this comp, so my job should be doing this because of this. But right
Mm.
now, let's just do like a quick exercise where at the very beginning of the game, well actually, let me just like do you know what heroes the enemies are playing?
If I remember correctly,
Hmm.
I know that they have Winston.
Okay.
Winston, Lucio, Kiriko,
Hmm.
and I think they had Echo.
Okay.
They have and Hanzo maybe.
Gotcha. They had a Genji. Just kidding.
Oh,
They had a Cassidy.
oh,
Yeah, even okay, okay, yeah. So I do that exercise just because when you go in, obviously you're gonna do something different every time if their team comp changes. You know what I mean?
mhm.
So let's look at your team composition and let's look at their team composition and break down like what the strengths and weaknesses are. So have you ever heard of the terms brawl, spam, and dive?
Yeah.
Okay, gotcha. So how well are you familiar with those?
Well, if I start naming them, like what Brawl is like more towards like
Mhm.
playing closer to like the enemy team.
Okay.
They want to like they have huge sustain.
Mhm.
Uh, you see like Ryan's, those type of comps,
Mhm.
and like dive as the Winston,
Mhm.
that's like what everyone can jump on, like
Yeah,
Genji's,
lots of mobility.
yeah, and spam is yeah, literally the Sigmas and like um Junkrat, Hanzo, Widow. I mean, Widow's
Mhm.
not spam, is she? She's like
Uh,
more
yeah,
long
I
range,
would
but
say so. She goes in a lot of spam comps.
mhm.
Okay, so yeah, I'm just gonna draw like a triangle here. One thing that I've been doing recently. So it's kind of like a personality chart almost. But like if you've ever played Pokemon, how like all the traits are kind of connected in a sense.
Mm.
So dive is very explosive and very fast, versus brawl is very like close, like you said, where it plays a bit slower. And then spam is like the slowest, where we go very slow. So I think you have a good idea. And of course, it gets like really complicated if you really want to go into the details, but you pretty much got it down. So if we look at your team composition, um, and then
You know,
I'll explain why we're doing this like
mhm.
after we go over this. But if we look at your team composition, where do you think you guys fit into this? Are you more dive, brawl, or spam?
Um, we're more like I guess, well, because we have May,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I'm looking at
This is a
May.
hard question to be honest. Or
Well,
let's go
nothing.
through each one. So is Mercy like dives, brawl, or spam?
Spam.
Spam. Okay. And then Farah, since they're together.
I would say honestly, she can dive, but she also can spam. I
Mhm.
feel like
Yeah. So I'm gonna say spam. What about Weaver?
no idea because he's a
Yeah.
new hero.
Yeah. Yeah. Same. I'm gonna say he's brawl. It's weird.
Really,
Yeah, it's weird. He's. And then what about May?
brawl.
Brawl. And then what about you?
Yeah, dive.
Okay. So and then now let's look at the enemies because the weird thing is just because you have this team composition doesn't mean that like we can define how your team composition should play. We got to look at the enemies and see how you guys should play. So let's go. So the monkey is dive. We already defined that.
Mm.
What about their echo?
Dive.
Okay.
I feel like yeah.
Dive and then
Kiriko. I
Spanish too.
think yeah. I think she works with brawl and dive.
Yeah.
And brawl. That's what I
Brawl.
think.
And then Lucio.
Well, I've been seeing a lot of people in like playing Lucio with dive, but it's brawl.
Yeah, yeah. Originally Lucio was with dive, but he does both really well. So if we talk about like eventually if we boil it down, it'll be like one team is really good at certain things and the other team is really good at other things. And of course there's like a ton of little tiny variables. But which one is your team better at in compared to the enemy team? And which one will you guys be playing the most? Because I don't think you guys will be diving in, especially since you have a Mei. So it's not going to be dive. So is it more spam or brawl? What do you think?
Uh, Bam. I
Gotcha.
feel like
Hmm.
well, well now that I know language there, I feel like it's just both. No, we can do brawl, we can do dive,
Mhm.
but since they have more brawl, I guess, dive. I
Mhm.
mean, spam.
Yeah, so one confusing thing, especially since tank is a very important role, Winston is very very flexible because he could do all three. And it's weird because it's like Winston is you only dive, right? But you can dive and brawl with your team using those dives, or spam with your team using those dives. Like create space so your team can spam, or you can dive and create space by diving. So if we know that your team wants to play spammy, what this does for you now is if you're diving into the enemy backline, you know that your team is going to be watching you and being like, what is this guy doing? Why is he diving? We're trying to
Uh-huh.
spam. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So one thing is playing together is really important because that way it's like a 5v5 rather than it feeling like you're doing a 1v5 trying to do one thing while your team's doing another. And so if we look at the enemies, I'm just gonna like point it out what I think. They have a really like brawl dive-ish. And so of course this chart like doesn't really mean very much right now. But if we look at it, eventually, if the fight lasts really long, your team comp should win because you guys have a pharmacy and they're gonna have a really hard time staying in the open, right?
Hmm.
Versus if their team comp is very fast and they get a kill in the very beginning, then it's going to be really bad for you guys because you guys won't be able to prolong the fight. So,
That's for me. That's crazy because I don't really think about that. You know,
mhm,
I just think about how like, what do they have? Is there anything
mhm.
like that they can counter me?
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
I just think if there's not, then maybe I can go aggressive or not. And
Mhm,
that's all I really think about.
mhm. Yeah, since your Masters won, yeah, I was kind of expecting you to already go through that. But this is like the next step where it's like, now that you know as an individual what they have to counter you, you look back at your team and think, okay, we're playing a team game. I know that they have this stuff to counter me, but how do I like? Because if I can get my Farah to kill all of them, I don't need to kill them. I just made her
Mhm.
let her kill all of them. You know what I mean? So it's not. There's like a very like toxic mindset of comp players where it's like, oh, I have to do everything. When in reality, especially like as a support player, but even as a tank, you can kind of support, or as a support, you can kind of tank or do DPS.
Yeah,
So
cause yeah, I'm used
mhm.
to doing like everything basically,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then that's how I ranked up a
Yeah,
lot.
yeah. But at a certain point, you can't do everything because you're just a monkey. You know what I mean? You're like diving. And if your team is spamming, so why I do that is because now we know that if you're going in too much, that from the third person perspective, or if you look around, your team really wants to play slow. So it wouldn't make sense for you to dive and go for the backline here, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Um. Mhm,
Another thing, I watched a video of Spilo today, like in the morning,
mhm,
and he told when you play Winston, right?
mhm,
You have like a secondary fire. So every
mhm.
time you're like doing nothing, try to like shoot, like shoot,
Absolutely.
spam. Yeah. And that's what I found out. Like, cause I didn't do this in the game, cause I
Okay.
didn't know.
Mhm,
So that's why you don't see me shoot from afar that
mhm.
much.
Yeah, that's more of like a micro tip. So I'll point out some like habits to help you improve your movement, aiming, and like damage output. But I think as Masters 1, you have a pretty good idea of like how to zap enemies, where to position like on high grounds to be able to get the most out of your kit. Like this counter dive is really good here, and I'll explain why. Because it's good to know what you're doing right and good to know what you're doing wrong. So your team really wants to spam, and so they need these angles of the high ground up here and on point to shoot at the enemies. So what you're doing here is you're keeping the space because if the Winston lets his team out, you guys lose these angles and you won't be able to spam anymore.
Mhm.
So by
I
doing this, you literally like carry your Farah because watch from your Farah's perspective what happens right after that. She's playing super aggressive, and now she has a chance to kill people. And that was just because you did a counter dive. But I'm willing to bet. Oh, okay, really nice kill there. Um, and then you're doing a really good job of keeping space again. Hold on, let me edit the settings so I can scroll through better. And then we're no longer in like the part of the team fight where it matters as much because we're in the enemies. Um, or the enemies don't have a full force and you're kind of cleaning up. I can go over that maybe like a different time, like the different stages of the team fight and how you play differently at each stage. Or for example, this engage here is kind of sussy, and the reason why is I'm thinking it's like, how does that engage help your team? Well, it holds space here, but now you can't hold the space anymore, and if their monkey dives in, then your fire is going to get forced out, and you can't respond to that because you don't have bubble. But that was like a really tiny mistake. And if you're facing like an owl team, they're going to do that. They're going to take the space as soon as you're done bubbling. And so one thing on defense I would say is, unless this is your fight plan to dive into the enemies in the backline, remember what you're trying to do is hold the space for your echo. But now, are you really holding the space for your echo with this engage here?
No, not really. I was just thinking about how, like, like I got 2 supports in the back, and I was like just trying to distract them as much as I can. All my team can just handle the Winston by himself.
Yeah. So you do have a good habit of going onto the squishies. But if we look at their team composition again, what they were trying to do was get an early kill. And so are you preventing them from getting an early kill? Not really. Are you making space for your echo? Kind of, but I feel like you could do better if you're matching the Winston, right? So this kind of analysis where if you were matching the Winston, the echo can't push up and kill your Life Weaver either. And I feel like it's very easy to like forget or get lost or not be able to find these answers. So more so think about well, what the heck is going on there? Think about how does this engage, or like what am I supposed to be doing in my team composition, which would be holding space for my Pharah, for my Life Weaver, and playing in line of sight of my team so I can play with them. But if you guys were on dive, this would be a really good play. That's the weird thing, because it's like that was completely okay. But just because your team is on this composition, you have to adapt your playstyle, and this is the kind of like knowledge that'll bring you to the next level and get you into GM, where it's like I can tell it's not your aim and it's not your movement, and you're not doing like dumb things, and you have pretty good mechanics, but it's more so the knowledge that you need to be adaptable and provide value in every situation.
I was just thinking how like maybe it's like my mechanics or my awareness I'm having trouble with, of like just trying to get past masters.
Yeah, absolutely not. Like from what I'm seeing right now, especially because like Winston isn't the most like mechanically demanding. It's not like Tracer. Of course, you still gotta have like pretty good mechanics, but you have like more than enough mechanics. I've seen, like, look at Flat's Overwatch play. He doesn't have, you have better mechanics than him, to be honest, right? Yeah, but he's in GM1, and it's like, why? It's because his decision making is so good. So if we can get your decision making, and it's not so awareness, because I feel like you're really aware. You know that you know where they are at for the most part. If they go behind a corner, you aren't like lost, like where are they? Or you're checking for flankers, and you're very aware. It's more so that you're the habits and knowing what to do at the right time and how to provide value with your team composition.
I was sad here because if I didn't dive, they probably would have got frozen there. So I pushed them away from the ult.
I think it was a good engagement. One thing in comp that's kind of terrible is you can't change what your teammates are doing, and that Mei ult was not it, because she should have frozen them on, like that's her fault. They should be frozen, even like because you didn't like primal them out or anything. So
yeah, no, well I did push them out. That's why I was like just thinking to myself, like damn, I pushed them out.
Yeah, no, she could have done so much more with that Mei freeze. I mean, not to say that wasn't like that attributed to it, but that's like definitely not something that you should be like fretting about. Because you did the right thing there. If we look from the third-person perspective again, it's like, why did you go in and dive that high ground? I scrolled back way too far. But okay, yeah, it's this team fight here. Remember, again,
Yeah.
from the third person perspective, you're trying to enable your team by holding space. So if you can stuff them in the chokehold here, that's perfect for you guys, especially if one of them comes out, because now your team is able to isolate them. And even though they're not frozen, your Pharah is having a really good time compared to if they're all out. Your team is relatively safe. That's kind of on them that they died, but because you were holding space pretty well, and the thing is they can't. All of these guys can't come out, and they can't get a kill, which is the only thing they want. They only want one fast kill, and since you're denying them, you're doing a really good job. The one thing I would say is, I feel like you get really nervous up here, and because you don't know what to do, or maybe it's like you're someone called the Echo. Okay, yeah. But now, when you're back here in this fight, instead of just continuing to stuff them, you get nervous and you don't use bubble to stuff them.
Oh yeah, because I was just thinking, don't die, because our Mercy and our Farah dies. So I was just like, I can't die here.
Okay. Yeah, I would say use a bubble to keep them off from taking this high ground. That's just a because if they get that high ground, they get out and have LOS over everything.
Yeah.
But of course, yeah,
So like, yeah.
you have to get out there. Okay, so this part of the map is a bit different, and I'll let this play out. But where do you think you should play to best enable your team and play for yourself? Because that last round was like you defaulted to here, and that's really good, and you met them at this chokehold. So, and then we'll see what you do after you give me the answer of like where you think you should be playing on this map. Where do you think?
Well, if we had a full team, I would be playing like around like the choke, like the corner right there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is perfect. And then so let's go back once because you don't have a full team, so you guys are probably going to regroup around here. Where do you think is a really good place to play?
Well, it's gonna go. Okay, if it's full team again, we reset. It depends on where the payload is. If it payload is in the back, like behind the bus, I would play behind.
Okay. Yeah, like
right there,
over here or up here. What if the payload's like right here?
Yeah, I'll be playing like up here, like on that bus. Yeah, right there or yeah, here.
Okay, yeah. Those are really good positions. I would say using the corners is really good. I like that idea. Also, diving in and cutting into the enemies so then your Pharah can go above and preventing their soldier from shooting at the Pharah would be okay here. So, it's like that last round where you couldn't really dive into the enemies because it does nothing because it puts yourself too far forward. Here, it's okay if you dive and brawl at the choke points.
I was trying to hit that.
That
little thing here? Yeah.
This is pretty good. The one thing is you don't have a full team yet, but if you did have a full team, this would be really good because what you're doing is you're holding the space and now your Pharah is with you. From a micro point of view, I would say you're not going to get this kill. Like, I would love to see you get this kill, but they're just not going to let you get this kill. Because you don't have an anti, so he's going to be healing himself with the healing pad. They have an Ana, they have a Curie, so they can Bionade him and you and Suzu him. So there's no point in jumping. And so we can do that exact same thing of holding space by using bubble and just sitting here with the bubble and zapping him and dancing in between your bubble. And then when you get low, then you can jump out to your healers. And then you can just walk back up or jump back in once you have bubble. But the thing is, if you don't use your jump, you can jump behind cover, like right next to where you are, and LOS the soldier, and still maintain the space. Because remember, we're not here to kill him. We're here to just enable your Pharah and hold the space, right? So we can better do that by you do kind of do that, but I feel like you did the right thing, but I'm not sure if you had the right idea behind why you were.
I was thinking about how like I didn't want to like give them a lot of space. That was sad right there. I was just thinking about I was just thinking about yeah, cause like this we had a soldier, right? They had a soldier, right? And they were just shooting it down in the back. So I was just like, let me distract them. That's really what I think about. It's like I want to
Hmm.
distract them as much,
Yeah, yeah,
and like
yeah.
waste their cooldowns, and then get out. That's pretty much what I was just thinking about every time I played Winston.
Okay.
It's like ball, you know? He goes
Hmm.
in, wastes everybody's cooldowns, and runs away.
Hmm. I think that's the right idea. The timing there was a little bit scuffed though, because your team wasn't back. But yeah, as for the because one thing you'll see like very high rank players do is maybe let's just like fast forward it. So then at this chokehold, this is a really good example. When you don't have to take the high grounds, oh, you try touching that.
Yeah, I
Um,
tried.
okay,
I was
sometimes it's
sad
better
because
to take
like,
the calculated loss because
okay,
yeah, because now you have to fight for this chokehold versus if you just played for this chokehold instead of going for the card. Um,
well, yeah, we can't even touch anymore. We lost that round.
okay. Oh, okay. You tried to bubble. Oh yeah. One thing also at the very beginning of the game. Oh yeah, what we were doing analyzing the team compositions. You should try to do that at the very beginning of every game because it'll tell you you have really really bad heals. So you have to
Oh,
play really safe.
oh, I knew that since the beginning because he picked Life Weaver, so I was like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
gonna be tough.
It kind of sucks. But mm, so for you, it'll change how you play because you know I don't have as much heals now, so I can't
Be
play up.
aggressive.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or if I play up, I'm gonna have a longer downtime.
and that's what happens because like we couldn't even touch anymore.
Yeah. One thing I want to talk about was that your first ultimate?
I think, yeah.
I feel like you ulted here to touch. Yeah, you did ult back here. So one thing I like to do is review every ultimate and then review every death.
Okay.
So I think your deaths were very reasonable. Yeah, this ultimate was it justified? Oh yeah, it
wasn't
was.
bad,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. 'Cause you had to hold space and you had to stay alive, so that was okay. But this ultimate here, I guess this is a good time to be swapped to Ryan. Honestly, that's a pretty smart pick. I think that'd be like a Ryan on this map is actually really good and very underrated. Um, so that's like 5 head if you just swap, but
I picked Ryan after like the second round, basically.
oh what? On the second?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe maybe that's 3 head of you. But okay,
Cause
so
like, cause like it was already too late. Like once, cause I'm gonna die here after I
mm,
use my ult,
yeah,
and then I die. That's we couldn't touch. Like it was over.
yeah, yeah. Because it's like, should you use your ultimate if you know the fight's gonna lose? Like, no,
Honestly, I
right?
wasn't. I was thinking at this moment. I was thinking I don't want them to get a lot of space. I didn't want to like get
Hmm.
them past here. You know that choke.
Okay,
Because if we
yeah.
do, we am like giving them so much space that we can't do nothing.
Hmm.
I feel like. So I
Yeah.
wanted to. That's why I used my ult.
Okay. Now though, from this like third person point of view, now that you've seen it though, like when you're 2 down, are you really gonna win this fight, or are you gonna keep the space if you ult?
Nah.
Yeah, yeah. So
I mean, if we had somebody else besides Livelier, but nah, I'm just kidding. But
yeah,
yeah.
honestly, kind of. Yeah, that kind of do be true though. But if we talk about the length of a team fight and how team fights go, I can oversimplify it to here's the timeline. So you have the pre-fight slash setup, you have the mid-fight, and you have the cleanup. So the pre-fight is before anyone starts, and you guys are both like walking on the map trying to set up where you want to play. So that's like you guys getting right here and not going past the corner. As soon as you start fighting and trading cooldowns, that's the mid-fight.
Yeah, I feel like that's like the most problems I have.
Yeah, yeah. And then you should be always looking at the kill feed and listening for the kill indicators. Um, where's my okay? And then so in your head, you see those 2 deaths come out. You know that you don't have ultimates to win this, or it's gonna be a really really hard win. Like it's gonna be like a Hail Mary, right? like you play basketball, right? It's like how many times does taking the half court shot win? You know what I mean?
Unless you're Steph Curry, but yeah.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
get it.
not
I
the
get
best analogy, but like if you're all the way at the cleanup and it's like you guys are probably gonna lose, you have another fight. You might as well just save your ult for the next fight. You know?
it. Yeah.
So
I was just thinking I can't die.
yeah. So now we know like if the fight is lost, just lose it. Just stay calm. Just like just like be like what is that? Empathetic. Just be like, we're losing this fight. I'm not even ulting for it. I'm not even worried. I'm gonna ult next fight. Otherwise your other ults were pretty good. Alright.
Oh yeah, this is funny here because I get 2 ticks off this just by doing this.
Yeah, it is a strat. It is a strat.
Because I was just thinking, I'm Ryan. Like, what are they gonna do to me? I want him to come down so I can just do that.
Oh my god, you're a menace to society on point here.
Yeah, cause like I'm Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Fight them, where they're at. So I might as well just bring them to the point,
And you get another pick too. Holy. Okay. This is very interesting because I could like, if you had your team here and everyone was doing what you were doing, you could win this. You could maybe. The only thing I don't like about it though is that if your team isn't gonna swap, you might as well play with your team and try to do the best that you can with your team. On some games, it's just impossible, and you kind of just lose because if you have like a hard locking Life Weaver and like a hard locking Sombra, you're probably gonna lose. Like on specific maps, and there's nothing that you can really do about that. But on this map especially, if we look at the team compositions again and go into the third person, they have a very spammy comp here with the Echo and Soldier and the Curie, and then the ball will provide the space for the spam. You guys also have a very spammy comp, but the thing is, you guys have a Mercy above their Ana and Curie, so their Ana doesn't really do anything. She kind of just heal bots. Your Mercy is very better, advantageous, because your Pharah can flank, can pressure, can get damage out, and has a lot more kill pressure. And she can take the 1v1s into the Echo. Because if they cut LOS, these supports can't support the Echo at all. I mean the Pharah. And now this is like analysis that you probably won't be thinking in the game. But do you see how like the Reinhardt pick where you're just standing on point trying to get the point won't help your team? Versus like a Ball or a Monkey or a Diva pick, where if you get the high grounds for them, your Pharah will have a really, really nice time shooting into the Soldier and Ana if you're on Monkey up here creating space. And not to say that like there's no right or there's no wrong. There's just making it harder on yourself. Because you do have some value on Reinhardt here. I just wanted to point it out just in case you didn't know.
I got mad here. I should have won this. I just didn't. Because you see where the ball, I should have just shattered here. That's what I was thinking. Once I died, I was just thinking I should have shattered right there.
Yeah.
The ball wouldn't touch and I would have killed the Yana.
Yeah, so one thing though, like, I feel like you put a lot of pressure on yourself to land that one shatter versus like the overall arcing thing is like, the way to improve is like you didn't play with your team. That's the bigger thing. You know what I mean? Whereas if you played with your team and you got onto the high ground, or because Reinhardt's not the right tool for this job to like help your team out. But if you flanked over here and you denied their high ground and you came, okay, my computer might crash. Just a warning. So if I leave the call, it's because my computer crashed. I feel it like doing weird things, but yeah, if you deny their high ground by making a wild rotation over here, that is playing with your team, and that will help your team out.
I was thinking of that, but I was just like,
yeah, it's kind of, it's jank, but it'll help your Pharah out so much more because I don't know what the hell that was, but
we had a soldier, right? And I told my soldier, can we use like all like soldier can you use your ult? And you know what he said? I had ult. I didn't know I had ult. I was just like, I was laughing.
It'd be like that sometimes. Your comp teammates. Okay, I like this play.
I was sad.
Ooh. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
I think you had a good idea there. The one thing was, I want to see what your team was doing. Okay. Yeah. Because the reason why I don't like Reinhardt on this map is because it's so hard to take the high grounds for you. And so that's like the one thing that matters the most. Because your teammates can't take the high ground. So like there are like 2 ways to take the high ground on Ryan here. And what are there?
The stairs in the back where our soldier is. Like right there, or more towards like where the bus is over there. There's
Yeah,
like stairs
yeah.
of the high.
Those
Yeah.
stairs, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then
those
going
stairs.
under. So the thing is, it's not that you're like a bad Reinhardt player or anything. It's just that your team wants you to do one thing because that's what they'll be better at. So if you had your team instead use Visor up here and have the high ground up here, this exact same play, doing the exact same thing to ball, would be so much better because you're with your team.
Mhm.
And so, like, just that knowledge, I think this play alone, if you did it on high ground, would have won you this fight. So, a bit nuanced, and I would say that this is very, like, map specific. But now that you know it, like, if you're ever on, like, any tank, and you have your DPS on high ground, it's much better than low ground, always. And usually what happens, like, on high level, or, like, scrims, or, like, with coordinated teams, they'll dive up here, and they'll have DPS that can get up here, or get up here easily, and make use of the high grounds. And so if you're on Ball, Diva, or Monkey, I think Monkey or Diva are way better on this map, to get this high ground, it'll let your teammates be able to get up here, or even push through main, or push to up here, and grant that high ground. And so just that knowledge alone will help you out a lot on this map. Versus doing this strategy again, which it's like, it's not that bad a strategy if you do it with your team, but it's not like, it's making it really hard on you. Like, you can see how hard it is on you right now.
Yeah.
Oh.
I was sad here because like my charge didn't work. Like I tried to cancel it and it just didn't work.
Yeah, it's hard to it's hard to get the timing right on that. So see how much more like value your team is getting on the high ground. I mean, this fight, honestly, you kind of carried your own weight because you denied the Echo ult. So it wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad in the end.
I feel like I paid attention to ball a lot more than I should have when I was Ryan.
Yeah. If you're gonna, what was the reasoning behind picking Ryan? Was it just like Monkey wasn't working, so you're just trying it?
I was just thinking because like like when I was like in Diamond and Flat, everybody wanted Ryan. You know, Ryan, because they're not used to playing anybody else. You know, so I was just like thinking, okay, I'll go Ryan so I can make my team, you know, become like an easier like, oh, we have Ryan, all right, we can shield us early. So I'm just thinking, all right, I'll just try to distract enemy team as much as I can. So I picked Ryan.
Okay. I think you have a good idea of what you're trying to do, but Ryan is just not the right person to do it on. And you can get like so much more done on someone who can take the high grounds. And I'm sounding like really repetitive, but like.
Oh, also I forgot to mention we had a Mei the whole time. So I was just thinking,
Oh yeah. Okay, here's a piece of advice that'll help you in comp. When your team is doing dumb things, don't do dumb things with them. At the same time, it's kind of like life is hard because like people will tell you 2 different things. At the same time, you have to play with your team because it's a team game. But you don't have to like play into the Mei and play Reinhardt here. Your Mei can still get value and you can still play for your Mei if you're on a character that can get the high grounds easier. Which I think, honestly, you're positioning really well to deny the high grounds. This point is a bit different, where you need to deny the corners and deny the long angles, but you're Not doing too bad of a job doing that, to be honest.
This is sad right here. This is gonna happen.
Oh,
Yeah. I
okay.
feel like I should have hit this and I wouldn't have died and got an anti.
Okay, one thing on Reinhardt, I noticed you're getting hit by a lot of the anti-nades. It's very hard, but if... it'd be like that. But
My
if you
body's too
can...
big.
Okay, so there are like 3 different levels to this. One is knowing that you have to block the anti-nade. Level 1. Level 2 is...
Sleep.
Yeah, anti-nade and sleep. Both. So like all the cooldowns. So anti-nade, sticky bombs, or sorry, anti-nade, bastion, sticky bombs, and maybe even pile drive. But level 1 is knowing about them. 2 is knowing how to do it. 3 is tracking them. And then 4 is like reading them like a book and predicting them. I feel like we're at level 2. Because I know that you know they exist. Because I've seen you block the stickies and the pile drive and the bastion a couple of times. Um,
And I also knew that she had nade. I tried to
mhm.
block it with shield, but I was too slow.
Yeah, yeah. So that's one of the harder cooldowns. But if we can get to the point where it's like you read her like a book, and there's 0 times where she hits the nade. Because if you watch LH Cloudy play against anyone who's not a god at Ana, he'll block the anti every single time. And he's like one of the best Rhine players. And so how do we be the best Rhine player? Just do what the best Rhine player does. I mean, you don't, you know, if you do what they do, you'll just be as good as them. So the way that we do that is, one, you have to like know that it exists. 2, you have to be looking out for it and aware and ready for it. And then 3, just develop a feeling of when the Ana feels threatened. And so it's like put yourself in her shoes. If you're really close to her, she's probably gonna anti-nade you. If you don't have your shield up, oh beautiful, because you know that the Ana's gonna try to shoot the sleep at you, so you're ready for it, and then you block it. So at the same time here, like I feel like you're also trying to bait the anti-nade. So maybe I went on this tangent for nothing, and it was just the only 2 times that you didn't block the anti-nade was like the 2 times that I saw. Um. Okay. I feel like you played that team fight pretty well.
Uh, it just went over. Like that's over now. The game's over.
Oh.
Because we couldn't. Yeah, we couldn't get past that point.
Okay.
It was just the same thing that kept happening.
Yeah, the one thing on this map I would say is on Reinhardt, it's very hard to take space because you can't walk. You know what I mean? Because you do know what I mean because it
Yeah.
you felt it in the game.
I felt no, for me I feel like because like I could just charge away or like
mhm,
go to a different angle with my
yeah.
charge, use it
Mhm,
as a mobility. But the thing I was upset about was like my backline. I know they
mhm,
had ball and I know they had echo and they were
mhm,
trying to dive my backline. And I was just thinking to myself, maybe can we play like, a little closer to like me or like go
mhm,
to like a different angle instead of going the same way. That's what
mhm.
I was thinking.
Yeah. So I think
But
this
they
is
just
the
got
one
destroyed.
map where Ryan kind of works. But the one thing is, you need to make sure that you don't get your shield shredded by the Bastion, and so that's play around the corners when the Bastion has his turret form.
Mhm.
Um, I think that would have helped you out a lot, and then it would have let you push through like this and just hold your shield and block the enemy Zen and Ana, and your DPS will get space to shoot everyone. But honestly, I think that might be the only reason why it ended up like this. Um, you get your ultimate. This is probably not a good example of like when to look at an ultimate. It was probably like during overtime when you had to use your ultimate. Oh no, you didn't even get your ultimate.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, yeah, I think the biggest thing is being more aware of like how you can get value and what your team wants to do to get value. Because in this point especially, and when you first swap to the Reinhardt, which I mean, like on this point, Reinhardt realizing what your teammates want is they want the high grounds and they
Mhm.
want the angles on the enemies. And it's like, can you do that on Reinhardt?
Mm,
I mean, can you get the space for them on Reinhardt? Not really. Like you can't get it on Junker Queen either because you can't get to the high grounds, right?
yeah.
Unless you do like some wacky rotation, but then wacky rotations on Junker Queen aren't nearly as fun as on Reinhardt because you have a shield to be independent. Um, so yeah, consider swapping. I feel like on this map because I could give you like a ton of Rhine tips, like on how to play into this composition. But for you, I know it's just going to be way better if you just hold tab, realize that like that's what we want, that's what the enemies are bad at, um, and then how do I do that better for this team composition? And you were doing a really good job on Monkey earlier in this map. There were only like 2 times where we had to like take a step back and be like, does this benefit your team? Or was this one instance like when you dived into their healers rather than holding the high ground and diving counter diving the high ground? Um, I think also another piece of advice is um, just because you're doing the right thing and losing doesn't mean, or just because you're losing doesn't mean you're doing the wrong thing. Because I noticed what made you swap is the second and third point were so bad for your team that you couldn't do anything, so you tried swapping. But sometimes it just be like that, and you don't win 100% of the time because you have teammates. Um, it's just like that. But you were doing a really good job on Winston, and if you did that on the second round, I think you would have won. Like that exact same playstyle. Because you were playing like I would say like you were playing like a GM on defense on Winston. Your team was just like really second and third point were sussy. The first point you were holding it like really well. Um, yeah. To add like anything else to this, I think we didn't get a good chance to look at your ultimates, and all of your deaths were very reasonable. So one random habit that I would say, because it might be in other games your deaths are unreasonable. Every single time you die, ask yourself like, why did I die there? On tank, it's a bit harder to die, but in your decision making, I think like, does going there here help my team? What does my team want? It's probably going to be space most of the time, but it's like, how do I provide that space? And is it the space that they want? So you're like providing space on point where your team wants the space up high. Where if you went up high, that would have made a lot of a difference. And the reason why I'm like pounding this in rather than like hit your fire strikes or hit your shatter is because this is like so much easier and it's just knowing it and thinking about it for 3 seconds that you would have like even if you hit your shatter or like hit a perfect pin somewhere, the chances of that winning the team fight versus the chances of coming up here, it's like 3 seconds of thinking for 7 times more chance versus like sweating your hands off for like 2% chance more. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because I was just because
Mm-hmm.
I'm Ryan, right? So I kind
Mm-hmm.
of know the weaknesses of him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just thinking, all right, if I know they're gonna be in the high ground. I know they're gonna try to shoot. Once you try to get the high ground, right? So I was just thinking, instead of giving them power to like shoot at us, I was just thinking, all right, you know what? I'm gonna play point, and I'm gonna make them come to me. And that's what I was thinking as Ryan.
Okay. Okay.
Cause
Um.
I have a hammer, so if they go, look what
Mhm.
Kiriko did. She kept dying from
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
hammer.
I would say the only thing about that, if you had like a Reaper and a Sombra, or like a Cassidy or DPS that benefit on like that play really well on the low ground, but these both really want the high grounds, and especially the Mercy because she can't live on point really. Um,
Oh,
so it's about playing with your team in this instance.
mm.
Um, yeah, kind of weird because like earlier I was saying just don't play with your team when they're doing dumb stuff, but this time they're not really doing dumb stuff. They're just existing kind of as their heroes.
Okay.
Do you have any questions? I think we covered a lot today. So,
Um, I for me, I don't really like. I know what to do during pre-fights. I know what to do like what my main job as a tank is, like to go in, make them use all their cooldowns and then get out,
mm,
while my team can just like put pressure onto them. But like I don't really think about all like what they have, like what's like they're like what you said about how like dive, spam, brawl.
mm,
I don't really think about that. And I was
Mm.
just thinking, how do I? Because dur- I might do that. I might do this, but during
Mm.
fights, I'm gonna be like, okay, what do I do now?
Okay. Um, yeah, I
And then
think
I'm just,
the majority of what you were doing in the mid fight with Monkey was great. The the most of the mistakes, like if I were in your position, or if like a really good Reinhardt or tank player were in your position, they wouldn't worry about any of the mechanics or doing stuff in the mid fight. It would just be like setting up for a good fight for your team because you have like pretty decent mechanics. You just didn't do the right like plays, honestly, because you were
Mhm.
doing your play very well. It just wasn't the right play, and so that's the funny thing. Because I think as soon as like you have more experience on each map and you understand what the right play is on each map with each team comp, you're just gonna instantly hit GM. And there's like, it's literally just like knowing it rather than learning or like practicing and like grinding really hard to acquire this some skill set. It's more of just knowing that like, okay, going Reinhardt and forcing point here is not good for my team, and they're gonna suffer the entire time. So I shouldn't do that. Um,
And then
mhm,
yeah, that's another thing I was just thinking about how like, cause like, I was like no ranks, right? And I was just
mhm,
thinking it doesn't really matter what comp we pick, you know? That's what I was thinking. I was like,
mhm,
it just matters if like, um, what can I do to like, you know, win the game? That's what I was thinking.
mhm.
But
Okay.
I ended up
Mhm.
not winning.
Yeah, I can see how that's like a, because to a certain degree you kind of have to think like that because your team, like if you play for your team always, you're not going to get value for yourself. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I feel like this Reinhardt pick was the reason why you lost the game on attack at least.
Mm-hmm.
On third point, it was a bit better, but you could have gotten a lot more done with the monkey. I know that's like really repetitive, but I think for the most part, if you hold tab and think a little more of like how do I play for my team, or even better, how do I deny the enemies? Because
Mm-hmm.
if the enemies are dead, then you don't need your team in the first place. But the thing here is like you can't deny all of the enemies, and you can't isolate any one of them to kill them. And so like if you're on like King's Row, then you can play Reinhardt and just kill the enemy tank, or do like if you're on ball on like Lijiang Tower and you can just kill the enemy backline, that's great. But like here, it's like you just can't do that, and you're like hitting a wall of just like a like where the facts are of like you can't solo carry yourself anymore. Like there's no more that you can do. You're just like playing scissors against rock. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um. So when you're in the game and you feel lost, I guess, in between the fights, like what could I even have done in that last fight? Just think about, did I deny the enemies? Did I enable my team at all? And do I
Mm-hmm.
need to swap to do either one of those better?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Mhm.
Again, I wanted to ask you if like, cause I want to see if it's like any problems I do, like a recurrence.
Mhm.
And so I just wanted, if you have some more time, I wanted to show you a little bit more of like another game, cause I want to see if there's like a recurrence of problems I have.
Okay,
So
yeah,
like,
sure.
okay, yeah, cause I'll just send you a code right now, cause
Mhm.
this one was, I think it was just all pure Winston gameplay.
All right, let me drink some water.
Cause I sometimes if I'm getting rolled, I tend to feed a lot more than I should have.
Gotcha.
Cause I'm trying to make more plays and actually just trying to regroup with my team.
Mhm.
But I always feel like if one of my
Now
teammates
traveling
die, I feel
via
like I should have
vessel,
just get a kill
ready for
before
battle.
Mhm.
they start coming into my team.
We must
And I end up dying because I feed.
Mhm. Believe it or not, even if you don't feel like it, that is a form of tilt.
aid.
And I guess like understanding your own mental is a big part of like ranking up, because if you're constantly like tilting and doing like really badly just because of your own mental, not because like you don't know how to do not badly, it's just like your own mental, it might be beneficial to like take a like quick like 5 or 10 minute break and reset, just so it doesn't affect next game. But
Yeah, because that's I feel like that's the reason why I tend to have longer losing streaks.
oh, okay. Do you have like a lot of losing streaks?
Yeah, like right now I'm at like 12 losses in a row.
Oh man, yeah, it'd be like
Yeah.
that. Okay, so it's a bit of personality, but the way I see it is, especially for my own personality, I know myself. You're not under any pressure. It's not like we're in an arena. You know what I mean? You don't have to go in and keep on playing. So if you lose like 2 or 3 in a row, even for me, like if I lose one, I know, or like even if I win one, I know I'm tilted. I'm getting off, even though I just won one. Like, there's no need to keep on playing. And especially like if you're like stressed from a work day, don't get on comp or else you're gonna ruin your rank. You know what I mean? Because it's like you might as well not play unless you're feeling it and you know you're doing good.
Okay, because I like Overwatch. It's like almost the only game I play. Well, like for FPS. So I want to keep playing.
Do you have another account? You didn't hear it from me, but if you have a burner account, that's perfectly what it's for.
I used to. It got bad.
It'd be like that.
It's been banned for like almost like 4 months now.
Okay.
I need like 2 more months until it gets banned.
Yeah. If you really want to take like getting a higher rank, like really seriously, then you might want to like get another account. Because like I noticed like this is really good gameplay. Like right now, the enemies are playing really badly, but you're doing really good job at punishing them for playing badly. So you can definitely hit GM, and like you could probably hit like GM2 or GM1. From what I'm seeing, like your plays are like very decent. You know when to engage, when to disengage, where to play. Just a little more experience overall will help you a lot. Very cool from your Widowmaker. But if it's like loose streaking that's keeping you behind and playing on tilt, then your average rank, because like, you know, sometimes the best offense is a good defense. If you're all wins and then you just get all your losses out of your system on a different account, then you just won't have those losses in your main account. So, you know, sometimes losing less is the best way to win more. It's a very good primal.
I die here though.
That's completely fine. I think that was a good play.
I want Roadhog because like ball, you know.
Okay.
And I used to be a Roadhog main, but it didn't make sense. So I was like, yeah, I don't want him anymore.
Okay, one piece of advice: Roadhog is terrible right now. It's not you at all. Roadhog is just he's just bad. He's just really bad. He got gutted, and I wish that he was a little bit better. But oh god damn, pop off.
No, like I used to be really good with him, but I don't play him anymore.
Yeah, I can see that. You're playing really well on him. Sheesh. But like, if you play this well on, for example, like D.Va, you'll just get so much more out of it because Roadhog is he's so underwhelming.
I was sad right there because if he didn't get nerfed, I would have pulled her like right there. Like,
yeah. Like, it's so sad to see Roadhog like this. But
No one can hide.
see, do you swap off of Roadhog? Because you were playing Monkey really well. Okay, yeah. Because sometimes, even like I was saying earlier, even if you lose a fight or you lose a round, that doesn't mean that you should swap. Because like, if you're doing what you're doing really well, sometimes it might be better because your team's just tilted and you need to like adjust to their gameplay. But I noticed that you just lost one fight here, and you were doing your job really well, and you were still doing it well. It was just they had a lot of ults, so there's like no need to swap off of Winston.
I mean, for me, I saw the reason Roadhog because like, you know, ball, and I kind of did my job. Like he switched off, so I went back to Winston.
Okay. I don't think he was that big of a problem. Yeah.
Really, 'cause it just felt like my team was just getting rolled by him.
No, well, I mean, you rolled the first 2 points. Let's see, like, the times that you thought that your team was getting rolled. Was it this fight? Yeah, okay, so let's rewatch this team fight. Okay, so your Widow gets rolled. But now you have this really good engagement where you're controlling 3 and you're about to prime. Oh, you might have been able to kill him on that.
I was just thinking because Widow died, so I don't want to use my primal.
Yeah, in that situation, you could have gotten a kill with your primal, so it might be worth it to primal. Because you're still in the mid fight. It's not like the fight's like over. But you get a really good kill here. If we look at why your team died, let's just look at it from the third person perspective.
Yeah, like our Zen died, our Ana dies.
Go back. Okay, they died on their own. Like, that wasn't even the ball, you know what I mean?
Okay.
They were being really dumb. Your Ana wasn't back, your Torbjorn was peeking, and then your Zen kind of just stood in the open against two, like, a Discord and a Widowmaker.
Yeah.
So, it's not that you were... Not that you needed to deny the ball. You were doing your job perfectly fine. And, like... Your teammates just did stupid stuff for 1 round. And then, now you decide to swap to Hog. I mean, not to say that Hog wasn't working out really well, but, I think the Monkey pick, especially against Zen on this map, is really good. Oh, that was a very dangerous jump out, because it's very risky. If you got shot from someone on the side, you would have died. Yeah, absolutely beautiful. So
I hate his kick.
the amount of space that you're providing is so huge, and the timing on this engagement is really good. Because they're not able to come out, and then you stagger them. Okay, you're cutting the sidelines for the Widow. This is fine. Oh my god, that was a holy shit, that was such a good shield against Arisa.
I thought her ult goes to shield.
Wait, does it? I don't know how this game works. Does it actually?
Yeah. See?
Huh.
Before, it used to, you can block it with shields, but after they buffed her.
Oh yeah, didn't they buff her in last patch?
It was like, I don't remember.
It was like a week ago. It was like 2 weeks ago.
Oh no, they buffed her damage. It used to be 12, not 13. But I think it was like the first season and season 3, I think, or season or at the end of season 2.
I didn't know that. That's something good to know. Yeah, as a coach, I should probably know that, but yeah,
it's alright.
Needless to say, if that was a Diva Bomb, that was a perfect shield. Yeah, let's see how you play the defense. Your attack engages are really good. You're really good at isolating targets and taking space and not overextending. So,
well, I think I overextended here because you'll see how I died right here.
Yeah, defense on Monkey is a bit harder because you remember how Monkey, we classified him as dive. On defense, you have to play him like Brawl.
Because right here, I see him by himself, so it's like shield, kill him, run away. And he got yeah.
Okay, yeah. So one thing, I feel like you're trying to play him really, really dive-ish, but you can do that exact same thing in front of them and hold the space when they try to push in. So like, for example, when they're actually coming out, and maintain LOS to your healers, because your Autumn will be healing you the entire time. You have the bubble. You're holding them at the chokehold, and then when you get low, you just jump out.
Okay. Yeah, because I was just thinking like, Zen's on himself.
Okay, and then you swap to ball. Not that bad.
This is horrible. This is horrible. Look. I end up dying real quick. Because I waited for the last tick, right?
Let me see what your... Okay.
See?
Oh, okay.
I was gonna swap, but I was like, I don't have time.
Okay. You swap back? Okay.
Yeah.
that was pretty good.
Yeah. Now, I know Zen's there, but I don't know where Widow was. And I heard Widow slash there.
Yeah, beautiful. I like this dive. You're isolating a target, you're taking the high ground, and now your team has the angles to push back in. Beautiful. You're doing exactly what you should be. I mean, there's like from a decision-making point of view and from a mechanics, there's nothing wrong mechanically. I mean, like it's pretty much perfect mechanically. I mean, you can't get much better. You're doing the melee cancels. You're bubbling off very well. You're playing around corners really well, and from the decision-making point of view, you're holding space really well and isolating targets. So I want to see. Okay, I think yeah, your weakness. Okay, it's definitely holding space when there's nothing to dive. And so, yeah, let me see what you do here. It is very hard against double sniper, because they kind of just force you out. Yeah, this engagement is more of the right idea. Beautiful engage. Okay, so let me talk about what to do. Because I've seen it twice now when you're at the chokehold, and I feel like you're kind of lost and you don't know what to do. I went backwards too far. So, at this fight here, okay. So you can engage up, wait for them to kind of come to you, and this is completely fine. But don't jump out. Try to stay up here and just sit there cleaving.
Okay.
And what it's going to do is it's going to build nano for you guys. And even though you're going to give this up eventually and you're going to jump out at 1 health or like half health, don't jump out at 1 health because you'll probably die while you're jumping. But
once I run out of armor, I go.
Yeah, pretty much. But your Ana is going to get so much ult charge off of this. And then, I mean, we literally just saw you do exactly what you're supposed to do with the nano. You go on cart, they can't deal with it because they're on double sniper. And it's just like, it's terrible for them. And so beautiful. Like, they're not going to win this team fight. Or, that's a lie. They might win this team fight. I just looked at the ults, but,
No one can hide.
I was thinking let me just push him away so Orisa can't get killed.
this is great. I think the only thing that I might say is wait for them to come in a little bit more. Because you didn't have to make this engage so early.
Okay.
Like, you're cutting LOS to your supports when you go around this corner. Versus if you're on high ground, you did the exact same thing where you bubble and cleave. And what'll happen is they'll use more stuff on you up here. And then when you go in, they have less cooldowns. So you're more likely to get a kill off the primal.
Because I was just thinking, yeah, I have primal, so I'll just hard dive right now.
Yeah, one thing is a very high level concept that, like, if you can master this, then you'll be like owl level. But when you're winning, don't try any harder. Like when you're doing, if you're like not using anything to win, don't use anything more. And when you're losing, don't like put everything, don't try to use everything while you're losing. So one example of this is like you're winning here, or after this primal, you reset. Like, you guys are winning. You're holding space. You have a really good position. You don't need to do anything to keep on winning.
Okay. I think that's the problem with me too. It's like I don't notice it. You know?
Okay.
I don't need to do nothing. You know?
Yeah, because if you're on high ground, or even if you're just contesting cart right here, like your Widowmaker is, like, if we look at what your team wants again, your Zen wants sightlines, your Ana wants sightlines onto you. These guys should be on high ground, but whatever. Your Torb has a really nice angle, like, he should also be on the high ground. But your Widow's on the high ground, she has a really nice angle onto both the snipers. She can contest all the high grounds, and she has all the space she wants. And, like, your Zen is very happy. He can orb the Widow, the Torbjorn, and discord the enemies. So, like, your job is done. Because, like, of the work you put in before. So you don't need to put in any more work.
Yeah, because I don't notice that at all.
Okay.
I was just thinking, alright, fight's over. I'll wait until they push up, because I have ult, right?
Yeah.
And then once they push up a bit, I go in hard, and then, you know,
I think
separate everyone.
the only way to get better at this, this is like one of the hardest things to get good at. Because this is like a very, very hard.
Idea. I didn't notice at all.
Okay. It literally is just like play a ton and get very conscious of what's going on, or review your games and see yourself like, or know like when your team is very happy with the position they have, and then when you don't need to like right now your team is very happy with the position, you're very happy with the position, all you need to do is hold that high ground right here. Okay, your Ana's stupid for shooting the Widow. Like, oh my god. This is not your fault at all. Your Ana is really, really, really stupid. Like that's like a gold level mistake that your Ana just made there. But
I was just thinking, since everyone died, maybe try to get a kill or just die
yeah,
apart.
yeah. That's really good decision making there. Now, honestly, you have like really good decision making. There's just like a couple of mistakes that you need to clean up, and then you'll definitely hit GM. Because like usually what I'll see there is tanks try to live, or like anyone will just try to live and be like, oh, I just need to live, and they'll forget that they need to group up for the next fight. But you have in your brain already that you should have just like, yeah, get a pick or get out or die really early for the next fight. You did that very well. So
Right, this is the problem I have. It's like I have no idea what to do here.
okay.
'Cause I was just waiting till like, cause I wanted to dive their back line, right? And the Risa was pushing my healers out, so I was just thinking, what should I do here?
One thing I noticed with your gameplay, one thing that you actually can improve on, because right here you can't really do very much, to be honest. The one thing I would say is cut them even deeper. So cut their supports off, but they windowed back here their Widow. That was a very good play from them, and you couldn't really outplay them. You had to rely on your teammates, which it sucks, but sometimes you have to.
Yeah, because I was thinking maybe I should get nanoed here. And I was just thinking, my Orisa's just, I mean, their Orisa's just pushing my healers away, so I was just sad when I died there.
The one thing I would say is, okay, not every time will the Zen be behind, and you can dive the Zen because he's being stupid. But if you notice that, that would be a really good play. Otherwise, go even deeper in the choke and use your bubble to completely cut these guys off.
Okay, because I was just thinking point, you know, I don't want them to get point.
Yeah, you can still do that from the point. Like, completely cut them off. And what that does is it makes a lot of space because it cuts the healing off. And their reset has to back up after, like, 3 seconds.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I don't think about that. I was just thinking about surviving and not letting them get point.
It is an Orisa, and it not necessarily will work as well as if they were on any other tank. But it's the same idea where you cut them off and you displace them. And it theoretically it should work, but your Torby's being funny. Sometimes you can't control those things. One thing also I was about to say though is maintain line of sight with your supports. Try to, because if you can take a controlled amount of damage, okay, your team's just being very funny. Okay, there's nothing that you can do there. I kid you not, there was nothing you could do there. If you can take, like, the best way to play it is, the most ideal situation ever is they let you sit right here. They have no space and they can't shoot your team because they have these terrible angles where they're very exposed. And you're slowly building ult charge enough just so that your Ana can keep on shooting you and you're still at full health.
Okay.
So if you can somehow manage that and control the amount of damage you're taking by going around corners, but still play in a really good position to cut the enemies off and maintain the high grounds, that would be like the ideal thing. And that's like while you're brawling and holding a choke point. And so that's like where a choke point would be. That would be the same thing if we look at defense on round 1. Defense on right here. This would be a perfect place for you to drop onto the enemies. Or you could even use your jump here to engage, because your bubble will last you 3 seconds until your next jump. But the one thing I was thinking in the back of my mind here, because you didn't really do it again, but you cut LOS to your Ana, so your Ana is useless this fight. Whereas if you did this exact same thing right here, it would have been like what an Owl Pro would do. That's literally like you're not far off from being like the perfect play. Like there's nothing better that you can do if you just did it right here.
And yeah, now I'm thinking about it, and I would throw like anti-nade at them too at the same time.
Yeah. And the thing, the even better thing is it'll build the nano. And that's a free fight, because the nano will come out before any other ultimate in this. So, yeah, I think you missed one opportunity, and then Not necessarily that you miss the other opportunities, but I notice it's just a habit that you have. Like, especially when you get this health pack, your Ana is like staring at you, like, I want to heal you, and you went for the health pack rather than coming through the alleyway.
Oh, because I still have problems at the same time, because like in low ranks they don't even look at you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
I play. I'm more reliant on health packs than I am with my support.
Hmm.
Because like I had a lot of games actually where it's like they don't even look, so I just end up going for the health pack.
Yeah, Overwatch is a very weird game where you have to play differently at each rank. See, that was a really good engagement, but the one thing I would say is play the corner.
Okay.
Because that way it makes it a chokehold. Right here, it wasn't a chokehold, but like now it is, which that's a bit more abstract, but like, you see what I mean though, right? Because now you're LOSing everyone versus just cleaving. That way you'll stay here longer.
Okay, because okay, play more cover.
Yeah, but that was perfect. Like cleaving and holding space. If you just stayed there longer and played in a position where you could have, that was like exactly what you want to do. Yeah, see, you're doing that exact same thing right now, which is like perfect.
Yeah, because I looked at my support to say there, so I was just thinking, should I jump or should I keep going?
Ooh.
I died here. I think I died here. Yeah, I died here. Wait.
No, you don't. You're great. And then another nice dive into the enemies. Really good. Really good. This is all really good. Because you have your ultimate and now you're trying to go aggressive and get a kill. Okay.
Bad. So like.
Yeah,
I didn't want to die. That's
Oh wait, no. That wasn't your Zen. Okay, that's fine. That's great. Yeah, I thought that was your Zenyatta.
Oh, no.
I don't know why, but
oh yeah.
Yeah. That was great then. That was perfectly fun. The one thing about this is I love this play. It's just where's your Ana?
I wasn't
okay,
planning to go deep. I was just get them off and run away.
Oh, you can stay there because you're the higher you go up, the more reliant you can be on your healers. And the better you play with your healers and the better you play with your team, the higher you are, the better, like, it'll be exponential. It'll literally be like multiple times better and it'll feel so much better when you're in higher ranks. At the same time, your teammates are always idiots, no matter what rank you're at. But you know, it's like life where someone will say one thing and then the exact opposite is also true at the same time. So you can't really do exactly one thing or another. But that engage was good because you were isolating a target and you were getting a kill rather than going for a chokehold.
I die here. I remember.
Okay. Do you know why you die?
If I'm in front of the whole team and not on line of sight of my healers.
Yeah. So you know exactly why. And I think the number one thing there to realize is you guys are down your Torbjorn right now. And so, but you guys are winning. There's no need to like do like drastic things, right? You didn't need to drop on card. You could have just let them push it. Or even better, you can contest from up here.
That's what I was. That's a good example of what you said about how like the Overwatch League players, you know what they do. How like about how like you don't need to do nothing because you already won the fight or you already won, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't notice it at all. Like I just never really thought about that.
One way to like sniff it out is if you know you're not gonna like, if you know this isn't like a really good play. Oh my god. The jumping into the Bastion. Okay, that one was sussy. But if you know it's not a really good play, it's probably not going to do anything good for you. And it'll probably like violate that same law. And then we'll get to the point where it's just like 1 out of 10 times it's like not a good play, but you have to do it. And then like, but that's like GM1 plus levels, like top 500 levels. But other than that, like if you know you're not going to get enough value or like really good value out of like brawling on cart there's no need to do it. You can just like wait for another opportunity when you're gonna get like really good value again. Why is your on cart? Oh my god.
I don't know. That's a pet peeve I have. It's like I'm touching point already. You don't need to be like right there.
Yeah, I would be so mad if I were you. I would be like scowling at her.
it happens almost every game where it's like you don't need to touch. I'm here now, you know.
Yeah.
And they continue to like stay there or like go even further.
Unfortunately, I think that doesn't go away until like GM2 or GM1. So,
It's just because it's sad because like, and sometimes I end up losing the fight because like you know they're right there and my supports die. Cause
yeah. But I think, okay, so based off of these two VODs that we went over, the number one thing, okay, so the thing that'll like, this gameplay honestly was like GM3, GM2, I would say. You were playing really well, other than the swap to the hog, but even the swap to the hog wasn't that bad. Because, you still got a lot of value.
Mechanics. I still got the mechanics and the words for
Yeah. You popped off on hog, which is very surprising. But like what you were doing here, you with the tips of like playing within your supports LOS, not going in when you don't have to, that would be like GM1 gameplay. If you just somehow perfectly did those instantly, which it's going to take time and it's going to take lots of trial and error to grind out those habits, even though they sound simple, it you know, in practice, like, it's easy to just talk the talk, but to walk the walk, it's harder. But
yeah, because I just like it's like simple things I know. It's like hard dive and then soft dive. Soft dive is like just try to make them use waste their cooldowns and like try to get ult.
Yeah, or even just brawl, because like brawling at the choke point, like when you were doing on first point defense, you were just brawling the choke point, and that was like really good. Except you weren't in LOS or supports, and that's the reason why you died. Like, yeah, right here, when you drop down, because you weren't in LOS of your supports, and you also didn't have a way to get out. It's just like these random, like, your neutral is really good, your average is really good. We just need to make sure that, like, when you're doing bad, you're not doing, like, horrendously bad. Otherwise, like, I feel like maybe you're losing streaks, and, like, when you're not doing consistently good, or like this like one random really bad mistake is really bad, and it makes it so that your like GM2 gameplay is Masters 5 because of like these like 2 times a game you're doing something dumb. So
yeah, that's what I said about before we watched this. Like I feed a lot, you know.
Okay.
And I'm just like, I don't know why I do that.
I think knowing that the Winston, like, to maintain LOS, cleave in a choke and then jump out, that's like one tech that I noticed that you didn't know about. So that'll definitely help you. The other thing is, don't make sure that when you swap, it's for a good reason. Don't just be like tilted and swap. At the same time, don't be tilted and be like, I'm not gonna swap because I'm doing well. You know what I mean? So like that Reinhardt swap on Numbani wasn't as bad as this swap because you were like swapping to counter the ball. Maybe it was like, it just happened to be a really good idea. But that Reinhardt swap last time was like pretty not that great.
I know. Like I wasn't really trying to counter bot. I was just trying to make it even harder for him to like do what he wants.
Okay.
That's what I was thinking.
Gotcha. In terms of like, because I view everything as like, you know, your team wants to do one thing, and if you let your team do what they want, or if you enable them to do what they want, then you're probably gonna win.
Yeah, because I'm Masters 1, right? And I had like games where like GM5, like match ranked GM5 or match ranked GM4, and then once I get into those games, like I do really well, right? And what you said about how like I play like a GM1, and then other times I'm like playing like a Masters 5, and that's what happens. Like that's literally consistent. Like what happens to me? It's like I think I do really good, and then once I do bad, it goes down.
Okay, so it might be like like if you just want to improve your rank, because honestly for me it's like just become a better player and you'll deserve the rank and it'll just come. But for you to become a better player, it might just be a thing of like just like log off or go into your second account when you're like not feeling it. You know what I mean? 'Cause for you it might just be like lost streaks, which is what it sounds like. based off of the information that I have. Like, if you're on a 12 loss streak right now, man, that's not it. You should not be on 12 loss streak. Because especially like with this gameplay, I know what you're capable of, and that like how you usually play when you're playing well. That is not 12 loss streak in Masters 5. That or Masters 1. That should not be it. So
Dude, one time I had was like Masters 3, and I went back for one day. I went back to plat 1.
Oh man. Oh god, get off after like 2 ranks, man.
And it was the other account that's banned.
Okay,
So-
okay. Oh
so-
man.
Yeah, I went to plat 1, and I had to grind my way all the way to like back to Masters.
Yeah,
Which
yeah.
It happened, but it just took a very long time.
Yeah, sometimes like the way to maintain a high rank is just don't lose. And when you know you're gonna lose, just don't play. But I think you definitely
want
have
to
like a
play.
lot of potential mechanically and decision making wise. So that's the good part, because there are some players I watch where I'm like, this guy's not going anywhere. So
What?
yeah, but I still give tips and I still try to help them. But like you're like, I feel like you're a very undervalued player. It's probably the consistency that's holding you back. So that's very good.
I solo queue a lot. Like I'm
Mm.
literally just by myself playing, you know.
Yeah,
So
that's
I
fine.
feel like the habits I get, it's like bad ones because I'm not really relying on my team as much as I want to. Because I had teammates or like games where it's just like I had a Ana who like literally just gave up and didn't even heal me anymore, and I was just sad the whole
Yeah.
time.
Or if you
And I was
want
just
like
like-
a piece of advice, like I like to think of everything logically, and that there are pros and cons to that. But the pros to that, especially in Overwatch, and if you play any other sport or like do any other like high performance thinking or like activity where it's winning or losing, the professionals usually only win like 51% of the time, right? So
Yeah.
even for the professionals, or maybe not in like Overwatch, but like most of everywhere else, it's just they win more times than they lose barely, and they do it a ton. So even for them, 49% of the time, like the best in the world, like their win rates are only like 70%. 30% of the time they have to lose. And so sometimes you have to lose because of your teammates. And so you can preserve your mental and your mind and be like, okay, I'm playing really well. I'm not going to let this get to me, and I'm just going to do my thing. And when we lose, it's not going to be a surprise. I'm not going to like overexert myself. I'm kind of in a losing expectation, but I'm just going to do my thing and try to be the best I can and just be mentally prepared for that loss. And so like when you have a thrower, when you have 3 levers in a row, then you can think in your mind, boom, there's a 30%. I'm back. Like, we're going to win this next one. Because statistically, it doesn't work like that in statistics. But like, you know, I did my time. Now it's time to win. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's almost like a cope, but it's almost like an actual factual solace that you can take in your mind, that like you have to lose some, but you'll just win more than you lose, and you just trust the process.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say. I was gonna say about how like losing, right? And like, I don't know. I think it's. Oh yeah, one of my friends told me just like mute everyone. Like what are they gonna give you? And I'm just like, yeah, but if I just mute everyone, like what? I can't help them.
Yeah, the thing is, muting everyone, because teamwork is very important, and there's a whole other, like, I would say, like, once you hit GM1, you're only halfway to understanding the entire game, because of the amount of teamwork that you can have with your team. So if you hit GM1 and then play against pros, they're twice as good as you, and you're only twice as good as a bronze player, and that's just how much there is in teamwork. And if you leave voice chat, you completely negate all of that teamwork. But sometimes, like, none of that teamwork is there, and it's actually hurting you by being in voice chat because your teammates are toxic. So it's like it's a case by case. But if you're really good at shot calling, Because like my playstyle, I'm only in GM because I can call to my team and I can target call and I can shot call and I can fight plan and talk. If I can't be in voice chat, I'm gonna be in Masters. I'm not gonna lie, or low GM. But if you're really good at that, or if you're not good at that, but someone is in your team, then they can be the reason why your team wins the entire game. So, it's more like if your team is toxic, just mute them or leave. But if they're doing like voice comms, that's really, really good for your team. So it's like a make it or break it, but it's not the end of the world if you just leave voice chat every single time.
Yeah. I was just cause like I think was cause this is like vacation, right? And I wanted to like do an all-nighter, right? So I played like the whole night, and
Alright.
it went horribly.
Oh.
It was just loss after loss after loss.
Yeah. Yeah, that's rough, man.
Yeah.
Do you think that you were like, was your mental intact at least while you were playing?
It was both. It was like, okay, like I get so angry once I lose, and then when next team comes, I'm just like, okay, no, what do I do here?
One thing I would say is also you can build bad habits playing badly. If you ever, like, my personal analogy was I used to be like top 30% in CSGO, and then I played with my friends in silver in like the bottom 10%, and now I'm in like the bottom 20% of the CSGO. So I literally was like, hold on, let me message this guy. Oh, I was literally like really good at CSGO, and just because I played with my friends and took on these really bad habits, I became really bad at CSGO. And the exact same thing can happen in Overwatch. So I'll warn you on like smurfing, especially if you smurf for too long, you're gonna be worse than what you were.
Mm-hmm. So what you're saying is delete all my friends, nah. Delete all my flat friends.
Not necessarily so, but just don't queue with them all the time.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
All right, I'll say that. I can't play with you guys anymore.
Yeah, on the flip end, if you have someone who's a way higher rank than you and they're willing to play with you and like provide advice the entire time, that would be someone really good to play with, because you're going to be in lobbies where like your tiny mistakes will be punished greatly and you'll adapt and you'll get really, really good habits. So
Really, because I was just thinking, like, because I do have friends who are like GM, right, or or top founders.
yeah.
I don't really ask them because, like, like I'm masters,
Yeah,
So I was
yeah.
just thinking,
I mean, like,
like,
Masters to top 500 is a stretch, but I would say Masters to like GM like 2 or maybe even 1 you can ask. I don't know if you can queue to that. But
no, I don't think so.
yeah,
Well, for sure I'm not gonna be able to queue with them because like I lost a lot.
yeah.
So
Yeah, just a warning also, you're going to be losing a lot at that rank. But think of it like losing is learning, because that means every single, like, if you're winning all the time and you're in Masters 5, that doesn't mean you're the best at the game. That just means you're way better than everyone else in that lobby. But when you get to the point where everyone is really good and they're way better than you're going to lose. And so, like, you're going to keep on losing until you're really good and as good as them. So, think of the losing when you get a lower win percentage as like the cost of learning, because you will be learning during that time, or not unless you're like super tilted, but usually. I think I gotta go to bed in 20 minutes. So,
okay.
any other
Yeah.
questions that you have? I think we
I was gonna
covered a
ask,
lot and it was
yeah,
very productive. So,
yeah. Thank you for that. I was gonna ask, is there like a list you're gonna send? Because earlier you're like, I'm gonna create a list and I'll like send it to you.
yeah. I can make the notes right now. Actually, we'll make it a notepad and then we'll just go over like, because I'll just give you 3 things that you can really work on. That way you don't have to like rewatch the entire thing to try to figure it out, or
Well, and
3
also,
broad things.
you see you were streaming, right? It's like I was gonna ask you about how, like, where can I watch this again? If
Yeah, it's just on the YouTube channel under the live
Okay.
section. You'll find it. Mhm.
Okay. So yeah, I
I'll
was
send
just
you a link to it too.
okay.
So
Yeah.
notes. One is look at your team comp.
Look at my team.
Look
Okay.
at your team comp and then play to enable your team. Because, for example, if you have a full dive team and you're playing monkey slow like that and brawling in the chokeholds, your team's gonna hate you. Versus if you have a full spam team and you're playing in the chokeholds like that, brawling and zapping and then jumping out, your team's gonna absolutely love you. And it was the same thing on Numbani where you were diving or you were counter diving to hold the space up top. And even though like the reason why, or it felt really good for you because you were holding space and doing a really good job, but the reason why is because your team was behind you, and that's exactly what they wanted you to do, to hold space, and so it worked out really well for your team. And so like the thing to do here is press tab at the beginning of the game to look at the enemy team, and then look at your team's strengths and weaknesses, or look at both teams
Mhm.
strengths and weaknesses. Because if they're on spam and you're on spam, but their spam is way better, you might think to yourself like, wait, they have a Zen that I can dive. I might as well dive them. And so it's being adaptive, but it's very nuanced in case by case. But you'll have the intuition, especially since you're Masters 1, you're at the rank where you'll know like the matchups and be like, okay, I should probably do this because they have this team comp and it sucks at this and we're good at this.
Okay. Yeah, because
Mm.
I think maybe that's another reason why it's like I don't really think about that stuff. I just think about okay,
Mm.
I'm Winston. I got Life Weaver, so I should play not aggressive. You
Mm.
know, I should play like
Yeah. So it's like baby steps because you're like on that path to get there. And then so like right now you're just playing around the map and playing around what healers you have. But when you incorporate your DPS, like if you have a Widowmaker, you want to play the long sight lines and play in the chokeholds. If you have a Tracer, you can dive every Zenyatta you see because your Tracer is going to be going with you. Ish. Usually. If you're in like GM1, that's what will happen. So like the better you get, the better your teammates will get also. And so you'll feel it out and you'll get there, but you know what I mean. Um, Number two, I feel like analyze your deaths. You don't have very many deaths, but the times that you do, it's like really Pepega. And it's like very, very not what you were doing before. Um,
I don't know why I do that. Like
mhm,
I think it's just I'm trying to make a play before anything happens because I don't want to lose or I don't want to like them to kill my team.
mhm.
You know, before I do anything.
So the things that you should ask yourself after was like, did you get value doing that death, or was that like a feed? Like was that just like the first point that was a feed? But
Mhm.
this last point, you had a couple of deaths when you were primaling, when that was really worth it, because you were providing really good space for your team and you had a really good chance of getting a kill. And so that was probably worth it. Or at least compared to the first point death. And then number three, I'm gonna say play for your healers. Because there's a lot of times that I notice you're doing okay job at it, but if you make their lives easy, because if you notice like really high level Winston players, they'll make their healers lives really easy. It'll be like super obvious for their healers like when it's time for them to heal them. They'll play behind cover when they're low. They'll make sure that they're never low enough to die in a fight, or like that their healers are ready to save them if they're low, or that they're in line of sight when they do get low, and they'll pick and choose their engagements near or in line of sight of their healers. And what that does is you charge your support ult really quickly, but also it's even better for you because you have more health. You have way more health. So you can do the exact same things, just way better because you're playing for your team.
Mm.
So think about LOS around corners and then high
Yeah,
grounds.
yeah. That's another bad habit for me too, because like you know low ranks, right? They don't
Mm-hmm.
really
Mm-hmm.
don't really care to like help
Yeah,
you.
yeah. They won't care to save you, but if
Yeah.
you if like for example on that first point there, if you get low, it was like
On
around here.
defense, right?
Yeah, on defense. Like if you get low right here, and then let's say your Ana is playing exactly where she is. If you stand right here and you're critical, just staring at your Ana, after like 2 seconds or so, because she's probably not the smartest player in the world if she's in like Master 1. You know what I mean? She'll finally realize after you sit there saying, I need healing, I need healing. Oh, my Winston's low. But you'll never die over here. And it makes her life really easy because she just heals you behind cover. There's no chance that you're dying. And then you just go back in after.
That
Versus.
that,
Mhm,
that just unlocked another memory of when I did that. I did healing on piano corner where my Ana is.
mhm.
She didn't look at me.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
I waited there
Mhm.
until like a more orb just came through and just killed me.
Yeah. Um,
And that happens a lot in like long range. So maybe that's like a bad habit that I need to fix.
Not necessarily so. I would say um the one thing is you have to adapt your playstyle and never get that low.
Hmm.
And in lower ranks, when you get to like in this rank, let's say you get to 374 HP, you're fine, right? Your healers are going to heal you. If you're in bronze, I would start backing up and being like, okay, my healers aren't going to heal me. I need to jump right in front of my Ana and not be near anywhere close to dying, or else I'm going to die.
Hmm.
So it's more so like catering to them. Think of them like toddlers, and that like they're on your team and you have to play with them. So you have to like
Yeah.
you have to play a certain way with them. You can't play rough with the toddler. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but like you're there and you have to play with them. So otherwise, like if it's really egregious, and that might just be like one of those games where it's just like it's part of the 30%. Just go next. And don't flame your team during that time, because when you flame your team, you yourself
Oh,
like
oh,
it ruins
they
your
they
own
play
mental when you
me.
flame.
They play me.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
everyone's my
yeah.
mental instead.
That's like half the game, man. Half of playing competitive is all mental. It's not even like grinding. It's just like dealing with people.
Yeah, cause
Um, mhm.
like I don't want to be toxic unless if they're toxic to me, and I'm just like I
Mhm.
had a game where it's like they told me how to play the game, and it just got me a little bit mad. It's like, who
Mhm.
asked you to teach me
Yeah.
how to play the game? We're in a match right now.
Sometimes, yeah. Sometimes, honestly, a lot of the games, it's just like you gotta ignore, mute, and go next. And the sad part is you can't just leave, even though you know you're gonna lose. It's like watching a train wreck. Um,
You know.
do you have any questions for the notes?
No, this is pretty better than I thought because I was just thinking, it was just micro plays I was gonna work on or something like
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, I think once you fix these, you'll definitely improve in ranks, and then you can start going on to like really hard stuff like ult tracking, fight planning, um, coordinating
Yeah.
with your team and
Hmm.
knowing the nuances in everyone's jobs. And then you
Hmm.
can be like 7 steps ahead of your opponents. And
Hmm.
then at that level, you won't even think about masters. It'll just be behind you, and you'll just be like you'll be on it. But you're really close to being there, which is good. So
Yeah, that just
closer than
reminded
you
me.
think.
I was gonna ask you on the ult thing where
Mm-hmm.
it's like if I play Ryan and they're Ryan, right?
Mm-hmm.
I usually not usually like every single time I know they have ult.
Mm-hmm.
I know they have ult. Like every single time I know they have ult. The thing is, I get shattered even though I know
Mm.
they have ult.
Okay, that one's just practice. If you know that they have ult, that one's just practice. And then reading Orion's body language, and the more you'll play, you'll be like, if I were in his position, I would want to ult right now. So you'd be ready for it.
Mhm.
And then also you'll get better. So playing will be like breathing. So you don't have to think about aiming at all. You won't have to think about your movement at all. You won't even have to think about like your like when to shield. It should just be like breathing, and you'll be thinking like, if I were him, would I want to shatter right now? Where's the Ana? Where's the Tracer? Where's the Mei? Am I in a wallable position? And that way you'll get to like you'll be like a chess grandmaster thinking 32 steps ahead. Um,
And then
mm,
yeah, I was gonna ask you about that too, where it's like I tend to when I know he has Shatter, I tend to like think, okay, where's my team at? And
Hmm.
I see like a McCree like kind of in front of him, so I'm just like, okay, let me just go in front of the McCree to help, not him get shattered.
Hmm.
And I end up getting shattered when that happens every single time. Because I'm just thinking, oh, maybe like, he's over here, I gotta help him.
Maybe that one's a bit of like doing dumb things with dumb teammates. Maybe.
Yeah, it's 100% that. Now that I really think about it, it's 100% that. Like,
Yeah.
just let him die. It's his.
Yeah, yeah. Because to a certain degree, you have to play with your team, but if they're doing really dumb things, don't do dumb things with them.
Okay.
Um.
Maybe that's why I can't block shadows, because I try to think about more of my team.
Hmm.
Of like
You're
why they're
too
like up there.
selfless. Be more greedy. Be more selfish. You'll never hear that one again. Um.
Because I watch a lot of guides before I played Overwatch, where it's like,
Mhm.
help your team, help this, and then once I get into the game, I have people tell me, oh, shield for me, on like Overwatch One.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, it's a fine balance in between the two, and you'll eventually develop a sense when it's like, no, I'm not going to, versus like, yeah, I should. You know.
Mhm.
Do you have any
It's
other
just those
questions?
three. It's just the only three I need to work on. Well, like all the notes
These are
already.
the biggest three. I would say if you
Okay.
clean these three up, you'll immediately be in GM. So,
Right.
I mean, easier said than done, but
Yeah,
yeah.
because I never been a GM. Like Masters One's like my highest I ever been.
Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it's very exciting the first time you get to GM, and I think you're very close. And as long as you keep the consistency and like don't play on tilt and be smart about it, you'll get there very quickly, quicker than you think. So that's very
Okay.
good.
And then once about one more thing about losing streaks, it's like
Mhm.
once I like lose like three, or what do you think is the most I should lose and then get off?
Um, it's really up to you. For me, like I said, like I can win a game and be like, I need to get off. So
Mm.
like you should be able to feel it, and if not, set um what we call it in the it's a like a stop loss, like how much you're willing to lose in a day.
Mhm.
Like,
Okay, because I had times where it's like I spend like almost like the whole night of just like
mhm,
winning, and I just tell
mhm,
myself I will like when I lose I'll get off.
mhm.
But
Okay, yeah, yeah.
I was like one time I was like 15 and like oh or 15 and
Damn.
1, and I was just like once I lost that game I got off.
Okay, yeah. Sometimes like even if you're feeling like you're on your A game, in the back of far back in your mind, you might be on your like F game, but you're like, I got this. I can keep on going, and you're at like 7 losses. So it's up to you. I would say after 3 losses in a row, unless you had levers or AFKs, that should just be like that's it. That's it for me. Like after three
Okay.
losses in a row, if I didn't have levers or AFKs, like something's wrong in my brain or my hands or my computer or something, and just today's not the day, and I just need to take a break for a little
Hmm.
and then come back. But otherwise, it's purely up to like however. Because I know a guy who plays for like 8 hours straight almost every day, and he'll go on like a 12 losing streak and keep on going, and then he'll go on a 15 winning streak. So like he's built different, but it's all up to you.
Okay. Yeah, because it's just like I only play this game, like a multiplayer.
Mm.
I only play this game. I used to play Rainbow before this, but
Oh, okay.
that was like a different time.
All right.
But yeah, yeah, that's it, I guess.
Yeah, yeah. That's it. Like there's a lot of information, so don't expect to like instantly hit GM, but you are like very close. So it was good talking to you. I think maybe after like a week or so, or if you play like a lot of comp games in the next couple of days, just hit me up again and we'll take a
Oh
look at
yeah,
the
yeah,
codes, and then I'll
yeah.
tell
Because
you
I
if
was
you're
gonna ask
doing.
you
Mm,
about like if you want to do another one. Like I don't know when, but
mm.
yeah,
Yeah, as soon
I'll
as
be
you get a
down.
code that you think is worthy of reviewing, and that you in your head actually like thought about like, did I think about my team? Because like I don't want to go into a replay and see you do the exact same thing on Numbani. You know what I mean? Like I don't
Yeah.
expect that, but like if I see the exact same play twice, I'll be like,
Uh-huh.
okay, man, we went over this. So, um, but the things that we went over aren't too hard. They're more of like learning it, and then like once you realize it, once you get past it, it'll like you'll never go back, and so that's nice. Um,
Mhm.
So it shouldn't be too hard to, or it might be hard to get it, but it won't be hard to lose it, or it'll be very hard to whatever. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
um, yeah. So yeah, I think good luck in your next comp games. Yeah, just message me as soon as you think you got it. So
Okay. Yeah, I'll definitely do that. And yeah, thanks again for helping my ass gameplay.
it wasn't that bad. All right, have a good night, man. See ya.
Yeah, man. All right. Peace.